Hey, what's up guys? My name is Andrew. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into the rabbit hole of American politics. So before I write my will, I'm going to be releasing this video 40 days prior to the 2020 election in the United States. There's really no shortage of opinion when it comes to American politics. From both sides of the spectrum, we've seen so much hostility between each of the political parties deciding on how to progress as a nation. And because of that, I initially decided to remove any sort of political favoritism for the sake of this video. That was until I realized that it was literally impossible to talk about the presidential election in relation to the stock market. So yes, I will be talking about Republicans and Democrats in relation to the stock market performance. And to keep it unbiased, I'm going to be leaving my opinions out of this video and keeping the sources relatively moderate. Before we jump into the video, make sure you leave a like for the YouTube algorithm. I spent so much time researching and editing this video for you guys to watch. So just leaving a simple like will definitely help my channel go a long way. And subscribe if you're new to the channel if you want to see more content like this. Let's get right into the video. When it comes to politics and investments, we need to address the elephant in the room, which is that many people will believe the stock market will perform better to the respective political party in the office. This basically means Republicans will believe that the stock market will perform better under a Republican president, and this will go the same towards Democratic presidents as well. This can often cloud your judgment and cause you to make errors in your future investment decisions. So Forbes released a detailed article on the S&P 500 returns based on each president after World War II, and this was back in July 23rd, 2020. And based on Jeremy Siegel, whom is a professor of finance in the University of Pennsylvania, and just so you guys know, that's the #1 business school in the US. Warren Buffett went there, but he found that from 1952 to 2020, the annualized S&P 500 returns for the Democrats was 10.6%, and for the Republicans, it was 4.8%. They also showed the S&P 500 estimated returns based on each president. However, looking at the plain total returns based on each presidency is going to be a very bad indication, since we're only going to be examining the state of the stock market when the president enters the office and when they exit the office, especially when it comes to different presidential terms. So it's completely irrational to compare someone like Donald Trump and Obama, because literally Obama has been in the office twice as long as Trump has, and this brings up the fundamental that time in the market is better than timing the market. To expand on this, looking at the average annual return is going to be a much better option than the total return, because we're going to be able to see what the president's performance is based on a year-to-year basis. Based on an article by McLean, from 1926 to 2019, we've had a Republican president for 46 years and a Democratic president for 48 years. And the average annual return for the S&P 500 when we had a Democratic president was 14.94%. And as for Republicans, we've seen a return of 9.12%. So based on the historical data, we've seen that the stock market seems to favor Democrats over Republicans. However, a good investor and economist would know that the president has little to no power over the natural economic boom and bust cycle. And the economic cycle actually does have an impact on the stock market. So it's inevitable that the stock market will become bearish in the future, because the stock market can't always go up. Circling back to the Forbes article, after finishing the entire reading, I found out that Republicans seem to go through 5 times more recessions than Democrats, which probably has some weight to why their performance is less than Democrats after World War II. Now this is where it gets really interesting. During non-election years, the S&P 500 has had an average annual return of 12.35% versus election years where the S&P 500 has only returned 11.28%. So it seems like presidential elections tend to negatively impact the stock market. And this makes sense because there's very much uncertainty and tension in the country during this time, and for a very good reason. Every time we switch political parties in the office, the S&P 500 tends to do very poorly at an annual return of 5.14%. And maintaining the same political party in office will result in a 16% annual return. This is mainly driven by fear and the change in politics, because the reality is change is scary, and as a collective society, we tend to do irrational things based on our emotions. And just because a political party switch causes the stock market to do very poorly doesn't mean the actual president is going to be a bad president, to say the least. Rather, this is the byproduct of presidential campaigns adding fuel to the fire and causing more anxiety and fear than usual. This heightened anxiety and uncertainty can actually cause the stock market to fluctuate leading up to the election, and this can be visually seen through the VIX Volatility Index. And usually during times of fear and uncertainty, for example, like elections, markets will tend to be more volatile, which will cause the VIX Volatility Index to increase. The VIX Volatility Index and the S&P 500 have a relatively close inverse relationship, because when the stock market goes up, fears are subdued, and when the stock market goes down, people panic because green is good and red is bad. When we actually take a good look into the VIX Volatility Index, we can see that Trump's election back in 2016 caused a small spike, and compared to other spikes we've seen, this is a relatively small one. As big as people made it out to be, it didn't really cause that big of a difference in the stock market. We can also take a look at Obama's election back in 2008, and this caused a huge volatility spike, and this was caused through a multitude of different things during those few months. For example, we were in a deep recession during that time, marked with uncertainty and no end in sight. Second, presidential polls indicated that we were going to have a switch in the political parties. And third, the actual election itself between John McCain and Obama during that time. And lastly, 1 month before Obama was elected, on September 29th, the Dow Jones Industrial Average experienced the biggest point drop in American history, wiping out nearly 8% in one day. All of that in return is deemed to be the most volatile time for the stock market in all of American history. So the key takeaways, it's perfectly normal to experience more stress during elections, because we've been doing this for over 200 years now, and we've had the data to back it up. The stress will be felt by everyone, and really this will cause the volatility index to increase, causing the market to fluctuate more during the month of the election. So my professional entertainment advice is to treat this election and the entirety of 2020 as every other year. Just stay the course, as Vanguard says, as ironic as that sounds. Second, looking at the historical returns in the stock market, Democrats have seen a much better track history compared to Republicans, but Republicans have experienced more recessions during their presidency, which might explain the disparity between the returns. Third, the past does not dictate the future. Just because the historical data shows patterns and trends doesn't mean we can actually predict the stock market. And if you really think you can predict the stock market as an individual, you might have bigger problems than all of us do. Lastly, there's often a misconception that the president determines how the stock market will perform. However, that is completely false. In fact, it's actually the opposite way around. The stock market is based on a boom and bust cycle, and that determines the current president's chance of getting reelected, because typically the president is blamed for recessions. For my final thoughts, I'm going to be inputting my political opinion. Now, before you guys get mad, I know I kind of lied at the beginning, but before you guys get mad, I highly encourage you to vote for whoever you think will make this country a better place. If you think Biden will make this country a better place, then go vote for Biden. And if you think Trump will make this country a better place, then go vote for Trump. That's my opinion. Hopefully I kept this video as unbiased as possible, but if you enjoyed the video or if you found any use out of it, make sure to leave a like for the YouTube algorithm. It massively helps out the channel. So if you're watching this and you're hearing this right now, drop a like. You've made it throughout the video, and subscribe if you're new to the channel and if you want to see more content like this. And crazy enough, I actually started a TikTok, and I'm probably going to be posting financial videos, maybe in a shorter time frame, more condensed information. So link down in the description if you want to check that out. And you want 2 free stocks, link down in the description below. Sign up, create an account, deposit $100 and get 2 free stocks valued up to $1,400. And I'll see you guys in the next video.
And you know what? I've got a little piece of advice for you. Stonks go up, money printer goes brrr. So how you like them apples, baby? And remember, stonks go up, money printers go brrr.